Greetings, bones and ghouls. We finally got Pathologic 3, Quarantine, the demo for the upcoming second part of Pathologic 2 that got so big that it is its own game now. Yep, the Bachelor story got so big it's its own game. The demo dropped almost 3 weeks ago and I've had time to play it on stream and I've got a good deal of thoughts on it. Complicated thoughts. And yes, there was a statement, and I'm pretty sure that's all we're gonna get for a long time, since if I had to guess, every party that could possibly be involved with it is lawyered out the wazoo. Let's not dwell on this because being lawyered up means that no one is going to say anything. So while I was planning on having this out closer to the demo dropping, life had, other plans. I also was actually intending to put this out over last weekend, but I ended up going on a side quest after discovering a lost dog in my neighborhood, and after taking it to Dr. Latan's office to make sure she was okay, I spent the weekend trying to find her owner. This included scouring my neighborhood, the adjacent neighborhoods, and the nearby shopping centers to figure out who was this dog's owner after we discovered that on top of having a collar but no tags, she was chipped, but there was no data on the chip. Like, I was literally walking around with a picture on my phone, like, literally going, where is it? Like, excuse me, sir or madam, do you recognize this dog? Like, really? Like, I managed to piece together, like, what happened to this poor girl hour by hour up until she came up to me in the rain. The best I can figure, the dog got spooked, jumped out of her owner's car, and wandered around the shopping center for a few hours until she tried to cross the street and got clipped in the back legs by the truck. She was able to walk, though, and made it across the street before anyone could catch her, and eventually wandered into my neighborhood until she found the first human she saw to get her out of the rain, which was me. Unfortunately, as of writing this, we were never able to figure out who she belongs to after doing a lot of due diligence, like posting on like local social media groups and just literally walking around asking people. So we had to surrender her. It sucks, but we tried the best. This is the kind of stuff I get up to when I'm not making videos. Like, now that I write this all down and now that I'm recording this for you now, I realize this has a lot of similarities to that thing people say, like they want to quote-unquote Disco Elysium styled cozy game where you're a witch trying to find like a lost cat in her village, where I'm a wizard looking guy scouring my neighborhood to find the owner of a lost dog. You know, we're getting sidetracked here. We streamed Quarantine over on the Purple Place and had a great time learning about what awaits us in the full game. Now, while I normally don't do videos on demos because there is simply not enough meat in them most of the time to get a whole video, Patho 3 was an exception because the demo is about 3 hours long and had a lot of mechanics introduced with more clearly waiting for us in the full game. It's also worth noting that it's been almost 6 years since Pathologic 2, and therefore that's some pretty extreme hiatus for the Pathologic fandom. If you're wondering why things might have gotten a little wild even for Pathologic, 6 years of hiatus will do that to anyone. We're gonna take the time to go over what's in the demo, what's new, what's promising, and what's not so promising. Yes, I do have some issues with it, but these are things that can also be hopefully tightened up as Ice Pitch Lodge gets that oh so important feedback. Welcome to the Quarantine. We start in a similar manner to how the horror spec started, where we're at the start of the bad ending. The very, very bad ending. Heck, there's even hints that Daniil accidentally brought the Step Pest with him to the capital. There are tragedians representing people we failed to save, and a bunch of people telling us just how bad we messed up. This is where we get the first major change between games. The POV of the conversation will shift, not just between two other people allowing us to have more than just A-B conversations, but also during certain moments we will assume the role of the person talking to the Bachelor, which will inform us that, like, what the Bachelor will say in the story. This is set up through the interview the Bachelor has at the beginning of the end where he's recalling certain events. Or perhaps he's just so self-absorbed that he's not actually listening to what this investigator is saying and just assumes what they're going to say before he responds. The Bachelor is canonically one pretentious, self-absorbed dude. This also sets up the events of the game as the Bachelor's retelling of the 12 days spent in the town on the Steppe, which might just explain the non-linearity of time in his version of the game. Spoiler alert, we don't actually do any time traveling in the demo, and it goes as far as him using the clock to shift to another day without actually taking us there. Like, the demo just ends right as we do it. There could be like an actual time travel mechanic. There are some odd devices the Bachelor plays with, but we don't know yet. It's not like the full game isn't out, and they have talked about a lot of like the non-linearity of time in devlogs leading up to like Quarantine and the announcement of Pathologic 3. Additionally, I'm not going to talk about too many other story details here, as not only are we not working with the full story, but also Quarantine's store page literally has a quote-unquote unreliable narrator as one of the major headers for the game's description. The main enemy in Pathologic is always the plague itself, but that's more of an overarching enemy. However, this time around, the thing that'll get you isn't hunger. It's being too bored to care about the world. No. For real, the game is a baked-in tutorial segment where the Bachelor is literally too bummed out about life to talk about anyone, let alone practice medicine. A tragedian offers some helpful advice about your sour mood and suggests that maybe you should help yourself to everything in the hospital's medicine cabinet. The good, relatively speaking, doctor gets absolutely zooted, and now he is in the mood to talk to people. This is what the Bachelor must do to survive. The Bachelor must constantly balance his emotions between mania and apathy, and yes, this involves doing so much of whatever substances he can find so often that our boy Daniil Dankovsky makes Harrier Dubois on maxed out electrochemistry look like the loudest, most annoying straight-edge teetotaler you have ever met. The Bachelor circa 2025 is the biggest dopamine fiend among all the second screeners and key janglers on this scene. I know this sounds like it's a bit of an exaggeration, but I am not kidding. Daniil cannot go 10 meters without needing to kick a trash can as hard as he can or smash a mirror just to get enough stimulation to keep going. No wonder the step pest got so bad. It was being outwardly managed by a guy who quite literally needs constant stimulation at all times, regardless of how destructive it might be for himself or others. But no, you cannot just get wired out of your mind and coast on the vibes. If you get too manic, while it's cool at first because you move at sprinting speed at all times, you start taking health damage and will die. I kid you not, Daniil got too worked up listening to a phonograph and died while I was trying to investigate a patient's lifestyle in order to diagnose them. That is the most Disco Elysium shit I have ever experienced in a video game after 3 playthroughs of the final cut. The mania and apathy system could really use some tuning. As it is, it's so frantic that it feels less like how hunger and thirst from Pathologic 2 works, where it was something that you were always worrying about in the back of your mind while accomplishing tasks, but instead it's more like this constant annoyance that needs to be tended to so much that it feels silly and frustrating. I get that Daniil is canonically a pompous, brilliant, albeit overconfident man to the point of gross incompetence, as it was in the original game as seen through the eyes of Artemy and Warrior Cat's girl, but with all the tuning needed to be done to his mood right now, he's a literal child, a moody little brat just entering adolescence that think he's got the world figured out because he learned a few Latin phrases. Let's get to the good stuff. The heuristic approach Dr. Dankovsky uses as he goes about diagnosing victims of the step pest who manage to survive past the initial infection in order to find a way to fight the infection at large is great. This comes in the form of not just interviewing the patients to learn about their medical history, but also giving them a proper physical examination. This involves looking them over, taking notes of their physical symptoms, asking them about what you've noticed, and getting more info. Not all initial interviews will be wholly true. Not everything you see on a person will be an actual symptom. Some things have reasonable explanations. Some don't, but don't seem to amount to anything. The system they use with Daniil's notebook is intuitive and kind of works similar to how Phasmophobia does with its ghost hunting stuff, and I mean that in the best way possible. Sometimes though it will appear as though a patient is lying to you and you're going to have to go to where they live or where they're staying and investigate further to reveal their true condition if you want an accurate diagnosis. No measures can be spared since the lives of thousands rely on you getting this right and making the right kind of vaccine to inoculate as many people as you can day to day. And that leads us to something that, while I'm not super hot on, I accept might be some kind of concession made to keep Patho 3 accessible enough to get published. The whole button to see if someone has something plot important to say to you feature from Pathologic 2 is now a full-blown detective vision that quite literally highlights all important objects around you. Yes, it was kind of there in the last game in order to help you find dropped objects in the middle of the very weed-heavy step, but now all the little details and items that you might need to find that are relevant to diagnosing a patient will be highlighted in blinding light with the press of a button. And there's no limiting factor on this either. You can just literally do what we did in the later Batman Arkham games where you just had it on all the time. It's that kind of detective vision where some objects are quite small or very easy to miss among the clutter, so it's not without warrant, but it's also frustrating that you'll think you've gotten everything. You'll try to go back down to the stairs to go back to the hospital and finish your diagnosis, but you'll get a UI notification saying, you haven't found everything yet. Go back, boyo. Which is especially annoying, since I found more than enough to accurately diagnose the patient. I know this because after walking around in circles staring at every inch of the floor until I found the thing the game wanted me to find, I got a single extra line of dialogue, which led me to the exact same conclusion as I had before I found that final thing. I hope this is only something that was meant for this vertical slice of a demo because it goes against the entire MO of Pathologic 2, which was on top of being brutally hard to the point that one of the loading screen tips was, hey, don't save scum or you'll ruin this experience, was that the game allowed you to miss key elements and end up getting things horribly, horribly wrong. I actually really like the part of the investigating a patient's house as part of the heuristic diagnosis process. It's just that the detective vision is heavy-handed as it is in the demo. Perhaps it could be a little more like how hunting for Twire was in Patho 2, where there are subtle audio and visual cues to find objects of importance, and more importantly, you're allowed to not find things as a part of your investigation. If you can't find something, you can't ask people about it, and if you can't ask people about something, that's a gaping hole in your diagnostic picture, but you could still potentially get it right. Your odds are just a lot worse. I also hope there's some way that these symptoms won't be the same every go-round in the main game. I don't think a complete randomization of symptoms or sickness would work in this context, or at least it would be massively overcomplicated to develop, but maybe having a large pool of potential patients to diagnose that's large enough to where you wouldn't start getting repeats until a third or fourth playthrough would work wonders on enhancing the experience player to player. It's too soon to tell though if this will be the case, but I certainly hope it is. There's one more thing about Pathologic 3 Quarantine that kind of bothers me, something that's really off. I think it's better if I just show you the abridged reaction from the Twitch stream, as I saw it. Okay, cool. Is there anyone else to talk to? Oh, it's the horror specs. They have absolutely, what the fuck? They fucking mogged Barack. They fucking sent Barack to Mogwarts. Look what they did to my boy! They mogged him! This looks ridiculous. I mean, fucking look at this. Wait, can I find a picture of Barack? Okay, look at this. Is this the same guy? Tell me, honestly, is this the same guy? They sent him to Mogwarts. They made him look at this. Look at his lips. He is goddamn, what is it, mewing right now. Is this how the Bachelor sees the horror specs? Instead of a normal guy, everyone in the Bachelor's mind is super yassified. They look like they're about to sell you a top alpha course. Maybe this is why there is so... acquired a follower. Thank you, Care, for the follow, Captain Hillian. Welcome to the discussion of what the fuck did they do to the horror specs between games? What happened here? Did they give him a fucking no-job? Hey, Frere H, we are having a mental breakdown right now over what the fuck they did to the horror specs. Yeah, that too. He's doing what is it? He's doing that can I even do this with my beard? That you gotta go the route of yeah, just fuck it. I don't have a strong jaw, but I can grow a sick beard. Yeah, he looks like a Vogue model that's secretly starving himself because of the ridiculous standards of the fashion industry. Oh, God. Does anybody have anything else to say about this before I close it out and we try to have a normal fucking stream? Frisk, do you have anything to say about this? Have you been like mogging too? We were trying to have a normal stream, but then we got hit with this. This! What the fuck is this? I'm gonna have a mental breakdown looking at this. I can't look at this. I just have to like, okay, there. I can't deal with fucking moggified horror specs. It's just the most ridiculous thing. It looks like this guy had like 2025 era, like modern day era plastic surgery and what's like vaguely like the late 19th century maybe. In our situation, every day is decisive, but so far the day's not. I can't. What's with the pessimism? Okay, I'll admit this entire video was originally just going to be an uncut stream VOD of me having like a complete meltdown for 10 minutes straight about seeing how unnaturally pretty they made Artemy Barak, but when I started thinking about it and going through all my clips to label and organize them, I noticed that Mr. Barak wasn't the only person who was a little too good looking. Even in places where you expect people to be grimy and unkempt or anything less than an instant grams model, like say in the Pathologic labs at the start of the demo, everyone's skin is perfectly unblemished and so shiny it's practically glowing. The random schmoes they got out in the Steppe Village also look really good despite everything that's been going on, and hell, the victims of the Steppe pest itself don't look too bad. It's like everyone's got that Facetune app on their phones and they're just showing you those weird, uncanny pictures of themselves that you know are not what they really look like. Like the only real memorable examples of people who weren't the most aggressive skincare gurus out there was one guy at the beginning that had like actual blemishes on his face, and then one of the plague victims was like the Old Town Watch model from the last game had a few visible scars. I'm well aware this is like a potential pointless nitpick, but it's just it's uncanny, like how attractive everyone looks despite the situation. Like I think that Pathologic takes place in a like ambiguous time period, but it's definitely like pre-World War I at the latest. But everyone's got like circa 2025 levels of skincare routines going on, and maybe some plastic surgery too, just looking at the angles in Artemy's face. It's just like you saw that I literally had to like compare the faces. And okay, I think that's enough for now. Otherwise, I'm just gonna lose it again. Thank you for bearing with me. I wasn't lying in my title. My final thoughts on the Pathologic 3 demo are indeed complicated. There are some extremely promising things and engaging gameplay like mechanics in here, but there are also things that need a good deal of work if the game's gonna, well, work. Luckily, all of these things that are potentially things that need to be worked on don't so much need to be ripped out and replaced by other things, but are things that can easily be like fine-tuned to make a potential detractor just right for the game's experience. Perhaps it's that I'm fresh off the playthrough of Pathologic 2 and still used to the sheer violence that is the difficulty curve of that game, and found some of the more user-friendly parts of the new demo a little heavy-handed by comparison. Perhaps I'm just put off by seeing detective vision from a game like this. What matters now is that Quarantine is out in the world, and Icepick Lodge can receive critique and feedback from all of us that is oh so important for getting the game right on its release. I'm definitely getting the feel that this is an implicit purpose for Quarantine, as these days you need to have some kind of open beta to gauge feedback, and hey, we got a free taste of the game well before it's out. To back up my own theories, the demo's been patched several times after going live, and while most of these have been essentially bug fixing, there is some fine tuning already going on. I won't lie, I get the feeling that there is a non-zero chance that Patho 3 might end up getting delayed into 2026 based on what I've seen and everything that's happened recently, but I would be happy to be totally wrong about that and play the game sometime this year. As it stands though, when I checked the store page at the time of writing this, and then again, actually let me literally just check it right now. Yep. as of still recording this right now, and back when I was writing this, Pathologic 3's release date is just 2025, which is a pretty broad net to cast. And frankly, if there's anything I've learned from my years of doing this, having just a single year as your release window is a sign that the devs might not be sure they're gonna get it out this year. And they're hoping like, okay, let's maybe closer to the end of the year, they might say, oh, sorry, we're gonna delay. I've seen this so many times where if you just put out a big blanket year, I kind of doubt it. It's nothing against Ice Pick Lodge. It's just I've noticed this again and again, especially with smaller studios, that casting a broad net means they're not sure how fast they're going to be able to do things. And obviously, based on what we've seen, like they're still fine-tuning stuff. They had a big like studio shaking thing that, if you know, you know. I'm personally not comfortable with talking about something that nasty on my channel, but at least it's been addressed in a way. Where were we? One last thing I'll mention is that, yeah, there are certain mechanics in the demo that I did not cover because they were either heavily truncated to the point that I could not get a grasp on how they would fully affect the game, or they're simply not in the game yet, but implied to be there. So this certainly was an exception to my no videos about demos rule by merit of this demo being exceptionally large compared to the usual fare. As some of you know, I started streaming over on the Purple Place, which is a perfect setting for trying out smaller things like immersive sim demos. I even made affiliate on the Purple Place already, so if you've got a Prime account with the Prime subscription you're not using, I'll happily take it because I've decided that, at least for this first year or so, everything I make on the Purple Place is going to be reinvested back into the streaming and my channel here because, yes, I know how hokey my makeshift overlay is. That is one of the things I am going to consider paying money for. And also, yes, I did actually remember to wipe down my camera screen with Windex so I don't look so blurry because this camera is old. This is a Logitech C920. Not like a C920i or a C920C or whatever, just C920. This camera, this turns 10 years old at the beginning of next year. Like not 10 years since it started coming up, but 10 years since I bought it. You know what, sidetrack here. Logitech makes exceptionally hardy stuff. This is a joystick I will occasionally use for space games. This is an original, like Logitech attack-free joystick. This is one of the first USB port peripherals ever made. And I can still plug this in and it'll work on my computer. It's dusty as all hell now, but yeah, whee! Oh, oh shit, did I knock something over? We gotta lock in. But you get the point. I'm trying to improve this and make it better because it helps to invest in yourself and what you do. I usually stream on Wednesdays and Fridays at around lunchtime in the US if you feel like slacking off, or quitting time out in the EU. But I'm also streaming on Saturdays after videos go live. If you're watching this on the day this video came out, I'm probably live right now. Come on over and say hi. For now though, let's sign off. Remember that no matter what you do, be it painting, writing, aggressively kicking every trash can you see just so you can feel something, remember that it should never be called content. It is art. Content is a word that has been twisted into a means to grind up all your skills, passions, and aspirations into a gray sludge, meant for nothing more than to make line go up for someone else's benefit. Your art in no way deserves that. Art is sacred. Art is inalienably a reflection of its creator by the very act of making it. In no way do you deserve that. So get out there and fight for yourself by fighting against the contentification of everything. And stay saucy. Look at this handsome boy. This absolute fluffiness. I'm gonna pet him. Okay. We've also, just to help the boy out after getting his vet bill, got him some oil for his skin just to help out a bit with the dry air. And that's why his collar's off, because like we gotta make sure it sticks for about 24 hours. But you are just the most wonderful little bedonkulus. This chonkulus, who I will scritch all day. Also, I know his like butt is like right there, making him look all big and fat, but he does feel lighter when we have to scoop him up. That doesn't stop him though. Every night, he wants his nighttime snuggles. And you jump right up onto my side of the bed. And I swear you know exactly where, like, to land so that like your front paws pin me by the beard. You're a devious little one. Yeah, can I see? Oh yeah, your skin looks good. Do you even have a neck anymore? So I can scratch under it? Alright, you're not feeling this. You've been, like, repositioning on my backpack all day. Or not all day, like the last 10 minutes. I'll leave you to it. There's a lot of stimulation between, like, the oven going, the laundry machine going, and all that stuff. Don't worry. It'll get quiet in about an hour.